Hello and welcome to the Psychic Matters podcast. I am excited to be in Bedfordshire this evening with a very good friend of mine, Lesley Malone, who is a professional psychic medium. And Lesley runs a development circle for a whole bunch of ladies and gentlemen who are wanting to improve their psychic and mediumship skills. So I'm here to ask Lesley all about development circles, what they are, and how people actually develop these gifts. So, Lesley, welcome to the show.
Hi, Anne. Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about you, first of all. Should we start with you and how you started your own personal development?
We can do. I had a pretty normal upbringing, I think. I don't, some people say, I was different from a child, and I don't know that I was, because how do you know that you think or see things differently to someone else? You don't. So what you see doesn't necessarily mean someone else sees it that way. So quite a normal upbringing. I was always fascinated with the spiritual side of things, the psychic side, and I used to answer questions that I don't know how I answered because I had no knowledge of anything, and continued on until I started seeing things moving, hearing voices, and it really scared me. And I didn't know any mediums at that time, so I didn't have anyone that I could run to and say, this is happening. I thought I was going to die, actually.
And how old were you at the time?
In my 30s, I think. Yeah. Maybe even 40.
When you say things were moving and you were seeing things, can you explain a little bit more what those were?
I would, I had a salon, and I used to get in early a lot, and that's when I had a swing beads, and they would swing by themselves, and you'd get footsteps, and there was nobody else in there, and then someone would speak, and there was nobody there, and I was the only one in there. And then I'd get flashes of movement in the corner of my eye and things like that. And we had a lady that used to come in, and she was a healer, and she said she ran a circle, and would I like to go? And I thought maybe I would, but then I changed my mind. And in my town there was a little centre, I suppose, and they had a sign up saying, are you psychic? And they were doing a day, and so I went.
Wow.
Thinking that they'd say to me, get out your rubbish. And I just stayed and did everything, and stayed there for about 3 or 4 years, did lots of courses, circle, everything, and then went off, started to do things, started to share what I'd learnt. And then I went to Tony Stockwell, and I always go back to Tony because he's amazing, and taught me. It's very hard because you have to learn. It's like learning a different language. So, and it's not easy. And I think you have to commit really to it quite a bit to, if you want to be good, you've got to put it in and work hard. And I've worked very hard, but I've loved every minute of it.
Is this something that you've inherited from your family members? Is this something that's been passed down, or is this something that you've developed on your own?
Actually, my nan used to read tea leaves, but I didn't know that. I have been told by some very good mediums that it does run through. I think all of my family could do it if they wanted to, but they don't. And some of them are scared of it, so they sort of shy away from it. But I'm the only one that's actually done something with it. Now, a lot of my other family have seen spirit people, heard spirit people, but they don't want to do too much with it. I know everybody is born with a psychic ability, and I think everybody, if they put the work in, can develop their psychic, which is their gut instinct. They can all do that. I don't believe everybody can do the mediumship. I really don't, because I have done a lot of teaching, and a lot of people you can, but not everyone. Some just never. But I actually think if they're not that drawn to it, they're the ones that sorry, they're the ones that are never going to sort of get there, really. But they're really not that interested in it, you know. Yeah, but everyone with the psychic, not everyone with the mediumship, I don't think, anyway.
Do you think if somebody with mediumship is keen enough that they can learn it? I know some people are not that open to the idea of it, but do you think if you're open enough and you're keen enough to learn how to be a medium, do you think people can learn?
I just don't think everyone's going to put that in to do it. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I have met people that I thought would really struggle, and they actually have done okay, and I've met people that just, no matter how much they try, I don't know. I don't know. I can only go by what I've gathered so far to people, and some people I've had to say stick to the psychic, because as we know, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So personally, I don't think it's there for everyone to be able to do, but the psychic is.
Interesting.
But that's just...
So tell me a little bit then, Lesley, about the development circle, which will be starting soon. We're waiting for your ladies and gentlemen to come round to your house. So tell us a little bit about this. Why did you set it up? When did you set it up? And what is it for? How do people develop here with you?
My people... my circle is great. I love my circle. I've got some really lovely people in my circle, and they have a lot of fun while they learn as well. So it's not all serious and doom and gloom, and they do have a laugh with it. But I have this thing of, can I say what I want?
Yeah, you can say what you want.
I have this thing about, there are a lot of mediums out there that will pick up a spirit and then start to give the information of the spirit, but then they sort of drop it, and then they give somebody a psychic reading in the name of the spirit that they've pulled, and that annoys me, because it's like putting words in spirit's mouth, you see. I like to give the evidence of the spirit. I mean, I can impart psychic wisdom to them, but I'll tell them it's coming from me, not their loved one, because as we know, Annie, the loved ones won't tell you what to do in your life. They won't. They can't interfere in your life. So, and I think a lot of people don't understand. And there's a lot of mediums out there that don't actually know they're getting it psychically. They haven't been taught the difference. They haven't been taught to recognise that difference between, am I picking this up from the living, or am I picking this up from the past? You know?
Sure. So maybe clarify for the listeners, Lesley, if you would, the exact difference as you see it between psychic and mediumship.
Okay. So the psychic is reading the living. So if I gave a psychic reading to you, Annie, I would be dipping into your energy and reading about you and your life. With the mediumship, I would be putting my energy up rather than across to you, going up, and basically reading the energy of the spirit person. So it's sort of the same thing, but instead of going across into the living, you're going up to the spirit. So it's, you know, and they always say if you can't read the living, you're not going to read the dead. So yeah, but there's a lot of people that don't know, can't feel the difference, and there's also a lot of people that go for these mediumship readings or go and watch a medium thinking that, you know, oh, my Uncle Arthur is going to tell me what I can do, or my mum's going to tell me what I should do and sort my life out. And that's not so. You know, they come to let you know that they are still there and there is life after this life. And that's the reason they come, and to send love. But it's not to sort your life out. and a lot of people do think it is, and it's wrong. So I'm on a mission to put out wonderful psychic mediums that know the difference, can do the difference, and not put words into spirit's mouth that they don't. Can you imagine if you was a spirit person and you want to let your loved one know you're okay and you're still there, and then they say, oh, Annie says you're getting a new car, Annie says you should do this and you should do that, and you're like, hang on a minute. I never said that. Do you see?
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's my get it right.
I love it, Lesley. I love it. That's so good. So people get a very, very good understanding of what's what in your circle. Yeah. So tell us a little bit, because I'm just for those people at home that are listening and don't really understand the term development circle. So do you sit in a circle? What does the circle bit mean?
We don't sit in a circle. We normally sit round a table, or we wander off. But the circle, the idea of a circle is no one is above you, no one is below you. So we all develop at different rates. I tell my circle, never compare yourself to anybody else. We all have different strengths. We all have a different way of working. And whichever way you work is fine. As long as you don't upset anybody or hurt anybody or frighten anybody. However you get what you get is good. So basically, I will say, try this, try that. I sort of open the door for them, but they walk through it themselves, so they learn their own connection themselves. I just give them the ideas to try this and try that and show them how to do it.
So could you give us an example of the sort of things that they might learn at your development circle?
Yeah, they will learn to do some tarot reading, to do a psychic reading with people. I will teach them psychometry. I teach them how to do a mediumship link, it depends what level they're on as to where they want to go, how to deal with 2, 3 maybe at once with the spirit world, because that's what they do. How to tell when people are lying to them in the psychic, how to just how to dip into people. And it's strange. It's like if you do a bit of psychometry and say somebody gives you a ring, that it's their ring and they've been wearing it for quite a while, but the actual ring belonged to somebody else. You can dip into the other person's energy as well from that ring. So you might skip that person and go to the next person, or get a bit of both. So it's all very interesting and it is good fun.
And so with a psychometry, just to be clear, it's psychometry, if you'd like to explain what a psychometry is. No, it's good.
Psychometry will either be an object belonging to somebody or a photograph, and we can look into that, and it's all about what we feel, what we see in our third eye, and what we know, really. So, yeah.
And you were saying, so you can pick up the energy from a ring, say, for instance, of say it was your grandmother's ring and you've been wearing it. So you can pick up information about the grandmother, and then you can also pick up information about the person that's been wearing the ring, because there's 2 layers of energy upon that object. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I also teach them how to cleanse, ground and protect, which is protecting themselves from energy from the living, because of all the negative stuff that you can pick up from somebody else. You see? And if you've had a bad day at the office and you come home and you've got all that negative hanging around you, you'll bring it into your house, it seeps into your walls. So you want to cleanse your house, you want to cleanse you down and get rid of it and all of that.
So that's an interesting point, actually, because a lot of people sort of get very nervous about the sort of work that we both do, because they're worried about this level of having to protect themselves from some thing. So can you explain how do you see things in terms of good or evil or dark entities, or how do you I mean, you've explained it pretty well there, that we are just protecting ourselves from the living and the energy of the living. That's what I truly believe. I personally don't believe that there is anything evil to protect ourselves from, but I'm interested in where you come from on that.
I don't protect myself from the spirit world because I don't believe in the we go up into the light, and I've got guides, I've got big guides. I don't believe in protecting myself from any spirit person because I've never met a bad one, and I do think if you sometimes feel that one is a bit iffy, it's not that they're a bad spirit, it's the fact that they maybe were a miserable person in their life, or they still have some issues, but it's not that they're a bad person. As for the living, it's and it's not like anyone does it on purpose, but when you're this, if you're a little bit empathic or things like that, you will soak it off from people. It's like they will soak off your positive, and you end up like a sponge taking on their negative, and that can have some really horrible effects. And I've had some really horrible effects from psychic, and it wasn't aimed at me, it was just something I picked up, and it took me quite a while to get rid of. But it's actually just, it was somebody else's issues, somebody else's baggage, and I felt it, and that's not nice. And it's so to protect yourself from that is really good. If you're a little bit that way that you can feel energy, then you can, and it can manifest in ways of making you feel even quite ill. So a little bit of protection every day before you go out from the living world is great, but I never do it to the spirit world.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's so nice. And so your development circle that you're running here in your home, Lesley, do you think that development circles run the same way across the country, or do you think each development circle is very different? I
think each is very different, and I'm very different from a lot of them because, like I said, I'm pretty easy. I'm not that strict. I don't tell them they must do this. They must have these rituals, and they must do, like, I don't know, umpteen things before they can connect with anyone. I think there's so many serious circles that make it so difficult and hard for people to understand, and you don't have to, and if you are dealing with the spirit world, hey, they like a bit of fun just as we do. So if you have a laugh and you have a bit of fun, it draws them, and it makes it much easier than being really serious. And I think a lot of people are it's their own sort of thing with, I must do this and I must do that, and it's not so.
Eye-Opening Moments podcast are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
Fantastic. So in terms of how you've seen people in your group develop and things, high points or things that you feel as a teacher that you've helped that person reach the next level, can you highlight any particular things that you're kind of proud of in your students?
Yeah, I mean, we once had a girl that was such an empath that as soon as we tried to teach her to connect to a spirit, she would shake and cry because it was overwhelming, and it was like, oh God, how are we going to get her to do this? But after a while, we worked with her, and she learnt to pull the spirit forward, and when it became too much, she pushed them back, and then pulled them forward and pushed them back until she got like until she could cope with it. Do you see? And people are very different. Some are more visual, some are more feelers. You just have to work with each person individually as to their strengths. And they think I'm mean because if they have a weakness, I'll make them do it and do it and do it. But it's the only way you get through things. But I do also find, am I right to keep talking?
Yeah, keep talking. It's lovely to hear.
Especially with teaching somebody the mediumship, when you first teach them, it's like the spirit world throws it at them, and it's like, oh, that was easy. That was I'm good at this. And then they start to make it harder because they start to make you work for it. Because if you don't work for it, you stand still. And then they seem to think, oh, no, I've got a block. And then they lose their confidence. And you have to encourage people to keep going through it and push through it, because normally they sort of lose their confidence and find things difficult just before they step up a bit more, and it all becomes easier. So it's important to, I've seen so many people think, oh, I'm going to pack it in because it's become so hard and I can't do it and I don't feel I'm getting anywhere and I'm struggling. and they sort of shrink back from it, and that's the very time you have to keep pushing, you know, and do a bit more, because it will push you through that barrier.
I actually remember you doing that to me, Lesley.
Did I?
Years ago, when I had read tarot, because I've read tarot since I was 17, so that's quite a few years, but I only ever really read for friends and family and many, many friends, always wanting readings, but I hadn't really charged for my services up until a few years ago. And I remember coming to a psychic fair that you were organising, and I said, I'll come along, but I just want to watch you read tarot, Lesley. I just want to see how you do it, how you act with the public and all of these things. And then you actually threw me in at the deep end and made me do mediumship readings and psychic readings for the public. And I have to really thank you for that, because I have just sailed forth on that, with that, and really enjoyed it. And
I wouldn't have made you do it if I thought you couldn't do it.
yeah. No, it was good. It was really, really good.
Sometimes you just have to be thrown in.
Yeah, and I really remember that. I remember reading for this woman at that time, and she wanted a mediumship reading. I was a bit nervous because I'd never given a mediumship reading to the public before. I'd given loads of tarot readings and psychic readings. That was fine. And I remember she sat down and I said, I had her grandfather, and I said, he's showing me all these pigs. There's a whole collection of different pigs, different shapes, different sizes. And she said, yeah, that's my grandfather. And I used to give him a pig every time it was his birthday or something. And he had a whole collection of them. It was extraordinary. And I was like, wow, I can do this.
See, sometimes you feel like you've got to keep giving information and to get it validated. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just have to say a couple of bits that might be totally irrelevant to us, but really relevant to the person that's sitting there. So sometimes you don't have to break your neck trying to give so much information. After all, it's only just to prove they're still about.
Yeah, exactly. So just before we finish then, Lesley, tell me a little bit about yourself and your own, where your interests lie within this psychic field at the moment. So I know that yourself and myself and people that we know in our friendship group in the psychic world are all undergoing continual training, because you can never just finish. You can never just be like, I'm qualified now and I'm off.
I would be dead then.
Yeah, we're always trying to develop our skills and take it to the next level and see what else is out there. So for me this year, for instance, I'm focusing on two things. I'm focusing on the trance connection, which I'll go through and talk about in another podcast. So I'm focusing on the trance connection, and I'm also focusing personally on past life regression and how we can take somebody to life between lives to meet their loved ones in the spirit world. That is where my interests lie for 2020, and that's the kind of work that I'm going to be doing and reporting back on. How about yourself? Where are you this year in your development personally?
Like you say, we never stop learning. We never know it all. Now I do healing. I've done a bit of trance. I'm a bit of a control freak though. When they come so close, I fight it a bit. So I like watching it rather than getting too involved in the trance. But I do like it, and I do love to sit in a séance, and as long as I'm not the one sitting in the box. But my real passion is the mediumship. I just drive to get it right, get it better, and get more stuff. And I'm always working on something. And when I'm doing readings, I'm always saying to my clients, bear with me, I'm working on this. So just to get that, like what day did they pass? What time did they pass? Something extra. And I do say to my circle, always reach for that extra bit of information. Don't ever think, I've got enough, but just go for it. Go for that other bit. Don't matter if they say no. They may say yes. It may be the one nugget of information that is brilliant. So that's where my passion lies, is getting as good as I can be.
That's fantastic. And I know that you are continually reading for clients, are you not? So if anybody wants a private reading with you, Lesley Malone can be found on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
Lesley Malone, Malone. And if somebody wanted, I know your development circle is closed and that you're not taking anybody else into your circle at the moment. But if somebody who's listening to this podcast wanted to find a development circle in the area in which they live, how would they go about doing that, Lesley?
Well, that's a question. I would say if you are looking for a mentor or somebody that's going to help you on your path, check out their background, find where they come from, where did they learn, who taught them, because there's so many out there that have either just declared themselves a psychic medium or they've done a little bit of, a bit here and there. So you want to know where they've come from and who taught them, because if you get taught and you haven't had a good teaching, it's, you need to have the good teaching. So I would very, very much check out where they come from.
Excellent.
And do they continue to move on themselves and keep learning? So
I think that's a very, very good point, because you do want to teach, you do want to learn from people who know what they're talking about.
And I will always tell everyone my background, where I've been, what I've done, who's taught me what, and everything. And if they can't give you that, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, great. Lesley, thank you so much for talking
welcome.
to me. We're going to go down now and we're going to talk to some of the ladies and gentlemen who attend your circle and see how they are getting along and what they're learning, and just hear it from their point of view. Thank you, Lesley.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here we are at Lesley Malone's circle, and we've got David, who's going to demonstrate some mediumship for us.
Good evening, everyone. Right, as I step forward, I have a lady with me. This lady gives me the feeling that she would have been a very bubbly lady. She would have been the lady of the family, the woman that would have been in charge. She was the home that everyone came back to. I want to give this lady in her 60s somewhere. I want to go 60.
Alrighty, so Dave, that was a bit of pressure there for you. Demonstrating mediumship with a barking dog, a storm outside, about 8 or 9 people staring at you, and a big red microphone under your nose. So it was a bit of pressure. But how did you feel with that demonstration you just gave?
Could have given more information. I think you always look at what you've given out and think afterwards, perhaps I should have done this, perhaps I should have gone that way. The information may have not been as much as what I'd like to go in depth.
Yeah, of course, and with all the added pressures as well. I don't think it's very easy demonstrating mediumship with a microphone under your nose. But tell me, how long have you been coming to Lesley's circle, and why did you join? And what are you I guess, what are you getting out of it? What is it you're learning here, and how is it panning out for you in your development?
I think I've known Lesley about 10 years. We met through a friend of ours. Lesley looked at me and went, I can do things with you. I went, oh yeah. She went, no, I'm going to turn you into a psychic. And of course, I've never been sceptic, because all the way through my past we've had houses with dogs and that, and they'll sit at the bottom of the stairs and they'll bark upstairs, and we've had clocks that jump and all this sort of stuff. It's just a natural thing that goes on with our family. So yeah, I did believe, but actually doing stuff myself, no, I didn't think it was ever possible. But yeah, started with Lesley, taught me how to sit in the power, to meditate, and just to put my light on and go up there. Sat for weeks and weeks and nothing happened at all, and then all of a sudden I had a face. I had my eyes closed and there was a face in front of me looking at me, and it was a face I did not recognise, didn't know, and yeah, that was it. That's how it all started.
Wow. And so with the appearance of that face that first time, and then you've come back, and are you refining your techniques, or how is Lesley teaching you to develop here?
We used to teach down. Lesley used to teach down in Cheshunt. Then she came up here, which is closer to where I live. I sort of followed Lesley about wherever she goes at the moment. I now help Lesley in part of the teaching. I enjoy the teaching. I enjoy the mediumship, the tarot, the psychic, everything that Lesley's taught me. I help now to pass on to other people, and this is part of what I enjoy. But as learning myself, I've become a lot mellower, a lot calmer, a lot more at peace with myself. I was quite a ragey person beforehand, especially at work, where it just any little thing would send me over the edge, and I was quite bit of a rage. But yeah, I've calmed down a lot now, so it just gives you that inner peace. I think I'm more drawn to the healing than anything else, but yeah, I like to do the healing, Rohani, Reiki. I've done crystal healing as well, so yeah, I'm now spreading my skills, as in taking on lots of different things. But I like to read a lot as well, so I don't just take everything for granted of what it is. I'll read lots of background books and lots of stuff in depth to get. You take what you want to take out of it. What you don't feel comfortable with or what you don't like, you can just leave behind, and you can take the bits that you feel comfortable with and that do suit yourself. And everyone has a different way of looking at things.
So it seems like joining a development circle for you has made a big difference in your life in many, many different ways.
Yes, I think it's settled me down. It's calmed me a lot. I found a lot of ways of making an interest in what I like, and then going into it more in depth. And it's not just one part of it. You can go off in lots of little different ways, lots of little different roads that you can follow, and they all come back to the development of psychic mediumship, development, spiritualism. I think there is loads of different things you can get into, and it draws you in and you learn more. And yeah, I think it just makes you a calmer, more relaxed person.
Okay, so Stuart White is with me, and Stuart is part of Lesley Malone's development circle. And Stuart, tell us a little bit about your development here. How long have you been coming, and what sort of things have you learned, and how has it benefited you?
I've been coming here since the end of last year. Since I get confused. This is the second year I've been coming here. I came here a few years ago originally to learn table reading skills, and then I went off and did that for several years, and I've returned to Lesley's circle to further my mediumship development, platform development with her, which has been very good. I've learned a lot, been taught a lot, and met some new contacts here and everything, so it's been very good.
When you say you've learned a lot, for people that are listening to this podcast, they may not necessarily have ever been to a development circle. So how does one learn mediumship, and how have you learned to be better at it?
Well, it's the techniques, disseminating between psychic ability and being a medium. A lot of, not all sort of mainly famous mediums, but there's a lot of people that are out there that say, I am a medium, but actually it's mainly psychic ability. They're demonstrating evidence. They are not going up into the spirit world and connecting to people that have passed. And there's a certain way to do that, push your energy up into the universe. That's why I do connector, and that's how I get the spirits. And usually I see them almost on a wheel. It's really strange with these different people, and then one comes forward, and then I will connect to that spirit, and then I will start conveying a message and see who I can connect to in the audience. Going back to, it's more about, I came back to do the mediumship development, which I have. I've done 2 or 3 dems with the group, The last one was in front of about 60 people, 50, 60 people for charity, which I really enjoyed. Once I was up there, I wasn't nervous. I loved it. It was quite a difficult audience that night. And so I got one spirit no, next spirit no, and I kept going and going. And the fourth one, I struck gold, the lady at the back. I'm sure the spirits were there, but people don't recognise, or tune in or listen. The fourth one, I got this lady's father, and I said all the stuff about him, how he passed, and the message. And I got a round of applause, as anybody else would, but I did it. I got it, and I really enjoyed that so much. So again, from a personal development side of things, I'm very, very happy with her teaching. She's a very good teacher. I enjoy the company, the people that come to the circle. Some people come to circle for the social sort of life. It's not really for me to socialise. It's purely to advance myself and learn, which I have done. So I'm very, very pleased with it. I've known Lesley before. A few years ago I came. I can't remember why. I think it was I went because the day job I had, I couldn't come. I was doing really late hours. Working till 8 o'clock at night, and I was just like, it's too much for me to drive from where I was to here. But again,
can I ask what your day job is?
At the moment, I'm a vehicle inspector. So I inspect very expensive cars.
And what do you tell people that you are also a psychic medium in your spare time, or do you keep that quiet?
No, I tell people. Some people who are closed-minded, I don't bother saying anything. But at work where I'm now, it seems to be more females, ladies that are far more open to this than males. It's just the way it is, There is one of the guys there, an older gentleman. He's actually psychic. There's two people on the site that are psychic, funny enough. One of them doesn't want anybody to know, but he spoke to me and done some stuff with me. And another guy doesn't really do a lot with it, but he is. He's quiet, yeah. And we've talked a lot about stuff, but they don't. These two gentlemen don't tell anybody else, but they know I am, and they talk to me about it.
Amazing, all these covert psychics at work.
Yeah.
So finally then, you are going to be coming to Lesley Malone's in 2020, and what is it you're going to be trying to develop this year for yourself, your personal interest?
Really, it's just going to be pure mediumship for me. I'm not really... trance mediumship, I respect all those. That's not me. We've done that before in the group. I've just sat back and watched it because it's just not something that particularly appeals to me, but I still come to the circle. If there's any other psychic things going on, as every week she seems to come up with something new, then of course I do it because it's good to do. It's all expanding your connection to spirit and your knowledge. But it's going to be mediumship because I want to eventually be professional full time, like someone like Tony Stockwell going around having the theatres. That's what I want to do, and write books. That's my ambition. I'm not too old to do it. You can do that at any age. Rock star, forget it. Stand-up medium, yes, you can do it. You can do it, but be a good one. Like she says, as we've said earlier, a lot of people they're not trained well, and they don't. It's a lot of it psychic stuff. They're not really doing mediumship. They're just giving evidence and moving to the next one. And I've learned that here, very strongly, because Lesley, I think she was taught by Tony, wasn't she, Tony Stockwell?
Yes, she was.
So she's a really great training background from it. So, and I would know if it wasn't listening to what people say to me. I listen and go, yeah, but she knows what she's talking about. So I feel I'm in good hands, and she's a taskmaster and pushes us to do it, which, you have to do it. If you want to do something, you're going to have to do the groundwork. Few years before I did all this sort of stuff, but I was determined to do it, and I got my certificate, and for doing it. So because I love this stuff, this is great. But I found that once I'd done the psychology stuff, once I started opening myself up to this and using my ability, I didn't need that anymore, because you just know what's wrong, or you can help people without looking at a textbook, because you're reading the energy. You understand what I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, of course, yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Psychic Matters, and I wish you all the very best for the coming year and for your goal of being in all the theatres in the UK and beyond.
Thank Thank you very much, Anne. It's been a pleasure.
So I'm now with Sabine, and Sabine has been coming to Lesley's circle for quite some time. So Sabine, how are you getting on?
Well, I have to say I absolutely love it. Every week we come, there's always a new challenge. I think it's nice comforting with a group of people that are very like-minded, because you have the help from other people as well as you can give the help and things like that as well. I've come on a lot. I mean, I've been out doing it with Lesley for 2 years now, and I still sit there and think, I can't do it. But you get so much confidence and pointing in the right direction and things that you should do and you shouldn't do, and the confidence and everything else. 4 years I think I've been coming, and I wouldn't have ever thought I'd be out doing it in public or anything without Lesley and the group and everything. If you muck up, it's not a problem. So you know, and you learn your lessons, and you see what other people and watching other people develop and everything else, and having the constant feedback from everyone. So you know where to progress, you know where you're struggling with, you know what you want to do and things that you don't want to do. Or even if you come in and you're not sure, you've got lots of different people to help you get over hurdles and everything else. So for me to be able to get up and do a dem, which 2 years ago there's no way I would have been able to do it, to actually go and do tarot card readings or mediumship with one-to-one, would never thought I'd be able to do it. But it's still lovely to keep coming back every week and still learn new things or challenge yourself. I quite like helping other people as well, so being able to give my bit of influence to other people and seeing them then develop with things or giving different perspective is brilliant. I love it, absolutely love it.
That's fantastic. And you, of course, gave me a fantastic tarot card reading not so very long ago. Do you remember when Lesley set an exercise and you had to call me and give me the reading?
That was so scary. It was really scary. I think the hardest thing is just knowing that it can be done, but never having to do it. And you sit there and you think, oh, I'm so nervous. But actually being able to do it and think, what was I so worried about? And I think it was lovely having you as well, because you give me a bit of a confidence boost, because I know a little bit of you. I've met you once or twice briefly before. So rather than having a complete stranger, that was lovely. And I knew that you would give honest feedback as well. But yeah, it was just really scary, the build up to it. It was, I've got to do it. But it was brilliant to actually be proved wrong, to say, people say, oh no, it can't be done. Well, actually, yes, I've done it. It was brilliant. Loved it.
Yeah, well, you were brilliant and you picked up on some incredible things. So, Sabine, cast your mind back 4 years. You say you've been coming here 4 years, but go back 4 years and beyond. Where were you at the time? What made you come to the group? How did you find it? You know, how did you physically know it was on?
That's really weird, because it was through a mutual friend of mine who... She met Lesley on it was a carnival day, so she was doing the crystals and doing readings, and she got talking to Lesley, was talking about crystals, got quite a buzz. I've always been into witchcraft and things like that as well, so I've always had an interest in things, and my friend started to come, and she said, well, why don't you come? Because she knew I was into it and everything else. And it was through her that she asked Lesley if I could come. And yeah, I haven't stopped since. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for Lesley either. And yeah, I'm a different person with what it is as well. My confidence in myself is amazing, because I can just think, do you know what? You be who you want to be, and being here and being able to do that as well is lovely. So if you can find a circle that has got the group of people that we have, it's brilliant. It's like another family.
What a lovely answer. That's so nice. We're like a family. That's there must be very different sort of circles that meet across the UK, and I wonder how they all are in terms of, I don't know, how friendly they are, I suppose, and are they as friendly as this one? And I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's many fantastic teachers out there and fantastic circles. So what are your plans then for this year, Sabine? You're now tarot reading, you're doing mediumship readings. Are you doing healing as well?
I've got to do my case studies for my crystal healing. I'm also Rahani in tuned as well. So I want to get out and do some more healing this year. I've had circumstance, I've had building work at home, so I can't do it at home as of yet. But that's now finished. And getting out and about and doing a lot more regarding doing like pampered evenings and actually going out and doing them myself rather than relying on other people to find them, and actually going out and doing more private readings and things like that. That's my goal for this year. So to actually get out a bit more.
And has anything strange happened around you since you started this work energetically, or have you found any synchronicities or any interesting things that have occurred around?
I notice more things. I do notice. Before coming here, I was very close to my granddad, and an absolute emotional wreck. He'd been gone quite a few years, and I couldn't even mention his name. Obviously, coming here and him coming through, I would just bawl my eyes out. But now I can cope with it. I know he's around. My nan's recently passed, and once one comes through, the other one comes through. I notice a lot with my friends that have things going bump in the house or stuff in. I'm like, oh, you've got so-and-so in here. But I think the biggest thing is actually being able to read people and get more honest opinions of people. So it's actually knowing, it's not judging the book by the cover, but it's knowing who to be wary of and who not to be wary of, and following that gut instinct that we all have. So that's the biggest thing that I've noticed, is actually listening to myself, thinking actually that's fine, that's not fine, and being a little bit more challenging for myself as well, to be able to say yes, I can do things, not sit in the corner and go no, I can't.
Yeah, and I think in this work that is the most important thing, to trust and understand your own intuition and your own soul self, and know how you operate and know how your energy interacts with the world and with people around you, and trusting what you pick up from others. I think that's the crux of all of this work.
Very, very much so. I'm very much more a level person with doing meditation and things like that now. I'm very much more relaxed than I ever was. I can take not the stress of life, I suppose, because we all suffer from it, but I know how to handle it more now. I still get emotional with things, but I don't get as highly strung, or I don't drop of a hat, bawl my eyes out with things. So I have the confidence to be able to know, yes, you can step back a little bit and things, and really the grounding side of things, and actually being able to see things with a different light now more as well. And like I say, trusting that inner judgment that we were all born with, that inner instinct, and actually learning to listen to that more has got me out of a lot of sticks, shall we say, with people. So it helps in that respect as well. So definitely.
Fantastic. Sabine, thank you very much for coming and talking to me on Psychic Matters, and I wish you all the very, very best with your development over the next little while.
Thank you very much. It's lovely talking to you again, Annie.
A very big thank you to all of you Psychic Matters listeners. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really do hope that you enjoyed the episode, and in fact all the episodes so far. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, because next week we're going to be talking about one of the first exercises I always teach my students, which is sitting in the power. I'll be discussing how important it is to have an awareness of the power within, and how you can slow down the mind and develop a deep friendship and relationship with that power in order to enter into the stillness, where impressions from the spirit world can be received and can manifest. So don't miss it. It's the foundation stone of all mediumship. Please know that I'm here to help you, so do get in touch if there's anything you feel you need help with. And I would still love to hear your suggestions for any topics that you want me to explore in this podcast as it goes forward. Do head over to my website, anntheato.com, ANNTHEATO.com, and you can contact me there, or do head over to the Psychic Matters Podcast group Facebook page, and you can leave a message for me there, and indeed interact with each other. So I really appreciate your time in this so busy world, and I really do appreciate your support for this podcast. If you know of anyone who you think might be interested in this subject matter, please do share this with them. And if you're enjoying things so far, I'd really appreciate you leaving me a review. Many thanks if you have already done that. And if you haven't as yet, and you're finding this podcast helpful, please do take the time to leave me a review, because I would be so very grateful for that. Have a fantastic week, everyone. I hope that everything really goes well for you this week. Until next time, my name is Ann Théato, and thank you for listening to Psychic Matters.